All right, so what I'm gonna do, because Harlem was saying he ain't really know about the joint, he just gonna feed off of what we say. So it'll, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go to y'all and chop it up like that. All right.
Got you.
All right, let's go. What's good? What's good? What's good? You tune to Apartment 5B podcast hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad with me today. Yo, I got the fresh. Damn, I was about to say fresh slander.
Nah.
I know. No knock off. I was about to say the fresh land. Damn. All right, I gotta write this down. No knock. All right, let's do that again.
No knockoffs radio.
Knock off her. I got it. What's good? What's good? What's good? You tune to Apartment 5B hosted by your man Kill. Yo, I got my squad with me today. I got the No Knockoff Radio crew with me, man. Yo, I always love bigging up other podcasts that talk about hip hop, that teach about hip hop, where folk can learn about the culture. Because I'm always telling people have asked me about different podcasts. They like competition. I'm like, bruh, if you moving my culture forward, there's no competition. Like, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be supporting each other. And when I always say we have to talk about our culture before other people say it. And when people hear me say that, they think I'm talking about black folk. I'm talking about anybody who loves the culture. Mm-hmm. Black, white, Puerto Rican, I don't care which you are. If you love the culture, we have to be the ones telling the story to move it forward versus somebody else coming in and telling our story. So for me, I always love rocking with other podcasts. My man Vegas and Tone with That Time in Hip Hop. My man Mike with his Speak Your Cloud podcast. And of course, my family right here, the No Knockoff Radio crew. I got my man Harlem Fresh. What's going on, good brother?
Yo, salute my G. You know, Harlem Fresh 125 all day, every day. Even when I'm out of state, I'm in the New York state of mind. Yo, it's a pleasure to be here again. It's definitely dope. Now, I mean, I agree with you 100%. We don't talk about competition. If anything, we talk about allies. Now, I mean, we got to bridge the gap. Ain't no reason to hate on the next man. Let's big each other up and move forward so they see it's power in numbers and we move as a force. Now, I mean, we all bringing dope ideas and fresh new flavor for the table. So I salute you, Kill, on Apartment 5B, and I appreciate you having me and my crew up in here. Now, I mean, that's definitely a fact. You heard?
It's all love. It's all love. I got my man Robbie. What's going on, fam?
What's good, y'all? You went digging earlier, went through all my records. We got a good topic for you guys today, so stay tuned.
No doubt, no doubt. I got my man Rocker who brought the topic to the table in the first place. What's going on, fam?
Yeah. Yo, man, like I've read so many biographies, looked at so many documentaries. I got so many CDs and albums that I've read for the liner notes and credits so many times. I know the personnel from the musicians, DJs, engineers. It's like in the back of my head. So I figure, why not just, introduce this, topic and see where it goes.
All right, no doubt. Now, for a lot of younger folk, because I'm always shocked that there are people who have been born post 2000 who follow me, but it's a blessing. But we're talking about liner notes today. Now, somebody out there may say, Kill, what is a liner note? Let me help y'all with that. A liner note would be back in the days when you actually brought a CD, you'd open up the cover and it would tell you who produced what, get this right with the light, and who produced what. They may give you some pictures, they may show you the rest of the discography, and for me, I was always a liner note junkie. When I first started making beats back in 93, and I didn't know really what to dig for. It was like, yo, look at the back of Illmatic. Let's see what samples had to get cleared because it'll say contain samples of, and I'm sure that I know I'm not the only one how people got put on to jazz artists and people and stuff like that. We had to go digging and we'd be like, oh, that's what Primo used. Okay, let me start digging for dude. And then as you read the liner notes on the album covers, then you'd be like, yo, that was an ill bass line. Who the bass player? Okay, let me go buy some of his records. So the liner notes, I always looked at them as almost like being like on some old treasure map type thing. Like, like you follow these instructions and you follow it this way, you find your own piece of vinyl to sample or whatever like that. So that's what liner notes are. That's what we're chopping it up about. Robbie, why don't you set us off, good brother? What is one of the joints? What's one of your 5 or top favorite album liner notes and why? What makes it stand out to you?
All right, my first one is simple. It's Diamond D. Sally Got a One-Track Mind. And the reason it's so dope, a lot of it was where I first saw it. I mean, obviously seeing this is like a classic song. You want to have this in your collection. Love to have Stun Spunts and hip hop, but that album goes for like well over $100, I think now. So that's a hard one to pick up. But there's a spot out here in Harrisburg called Second and Charles. And when you go digging, you have to like walk up a stage in the middle of the store. So me and my homie are digging through looking for stuff to sample. And I found this and I started reading through the liner notes. And he actually drops two names on the back of it for who the song's dedicated to. So Sally's dedicated to Benita and Lynette, the bums from the slums. And I just busted out laughing in the whole store, and everyone's just looking up at me like I'm crazy. And then I don't know, just a great memory that I have. So this is one of my top 5.
That's dope. And to me, the dopest thing about that, and I've been saying it all week from the hell I started saying that I like Chance the Rapper, is that I'm always telling people it should be about what speaks to you. You know what I mean? It should be about the memories that an album brings or a song brings, you know? So, you know, people seem to trip off of different things, but I'm like, bro, if it meant something to you and you know what I mean? It's a dope memory. Like that's what hip hop, that's what music is supposed to be about. So that's definitely a dope one. What's up with you, Rocker? What you got on tap for us?
Well, my one of this is Fear of a Black Planet by Public Enemy, and this album actually it has a lot of irony.
Rocker, come on, you still in mine, man? Really,
yo,
you really hit me in the head and taking one of mine.
I would have put out the cassette. I would have put out the cassette, but I couldn't find it in time. I had this album on cassette. Yo, sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes or anything.
Nah, it's all good, brother.
Yeah.
Don't minds think alike. Don't minds think alike, man.
In May of 1989, Professor Griff gave an interview to the Washington Post, and he gave an interview to Dave Mills, and they were talking about this book that Professor Griff had read, and it was something about how Jews run society and run the world, and it got picked up, and what he said was interpreted as being anti-Semitic. So this story got picked up in other publications. Other news stations started covering it, and it led to Chuck D eventually kicking Professor Griff out of the group. And he was pressured by the anti-Jewish Defamation League. So this would have been August or September of 1989. Fear of a Black Planet came out in 1990. So it's strange that Professor Griff is pictured with the other members of Public Enemy. So it kind of confused people because, number one, if he's kicked out of the group, why is he pictured with Public Enemy as if he's still in the group? And also, if you look at the liner notes, I had never known the names of the S1Ws before, and some of these names are funny to me, like Agent Attitude, Supreme Master of Defense. You got Brother James 1, Minister of Information, James Bombs, Czar of Education, Brother Mike, Enforcer 19. It was like I'm thinking that these cats are gonna have Islamic names, have names that are a little bit more Afrocentric. But lastly, if you look at this portion of the booklet, either Chuck D, I don't know who wrote this portion of the liner notes, but they broke down their influential inspirations, the lyrical inspiration, and show inspiration. And I thought that was dope because they give they pay homage to their predecessors, Muhammad Ali, Bob Law, Minister Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam, Dick Gregory, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Black Panther Party, Gary Bird, And so, some of these names are recognizable, some of these names aren't. But I like that it forced some people to look up some of these names, learn who these people are, and why they influenced and inspired their art. So, Fear of a Black Planet.
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. And even to piggyback on what you were saying, other things that Chuck had in here, and the reason these liner notes stood out to me was because he had in the shout outs. Because it's funny. Number one, when you hit me with the topic, I was like, "This is an ill topic," but I was like, "Damn, most liner notes are just like, yo, I want to thank my mom, God, you know what I mean?" Like, so it was like, how do I find something that stands out? But me being the junkie I'm like, all right, I know some. And the thing that stood out to me about Fear of a Black Planet was because he had the New School 8, and he was naming Brand Nubians, Kwame, Special Ed, Steezo, True Mathematics, King of Pressure, Q-Tip, Tribe Called Quest. Then he had the popular 14, Kid and Play, Redhead Kingpin and the FBI, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Tone Loc, Young MC. Then he'd have the Hardcore 17, Chill Rob G, Cool G Rap, the DOC, Tough Crew, Just Ice, King Son. Then he hits you with the Hall of Fame 17, Africa Bambaataa, Tila Rock, Curtis. I just like how he broke that down. He kept going with the Overseas Bombers, Disciples for the Future, the Super Producer 10, Peace to the Extra Strength Posse, the Sister Squad 22, just shouting out everybody. He even had the Sports Brothers in there. He got Charles Oakley, Jim Brown, Mike Tyson. He shouting out everybody. So that just stood out to me to kind of be like, yo, I'd never seen that before, where like he was giving credit to like each group of individuals. Just seeing some of them names brought back a lot of memories. So that's a dope one. The first one, since you got me on that one, and this is gonna be a funny one that most people may not understand, but I'm going with Beatminerz, Brace for Impact. Now, the reason why I'm going with this one is because I've been in so many discussions and arguments with producers who swear that they can tell, like, you put on a CD, they be like, that was made with the SP1200. That was made with the S950. And I'm like, yo, mofo, stop it. You do not know. You cannot tell me you can hear that that's an SP1200, that's an MPC 3000. They be like, yeah, I can tell. So the reason why I love these liner notes so much is because on each track, it tells you what was used to make it. Wow. So when I saw this, oh man, it was on. Like, it was like, yo, everybody come to the crib. Like, yo, let's go dig in. Let's go back to the crib and make beats. And it was like, yo, I'm gonna throw some stuff on. And I'd be like, yo, what's that? And they'd be like, that's an SP12, S950. I'm like, wrong. It's an MPC 3000. Nah, how you know? I'm like, bruh, it's right there in the liner notes. So that's why I love this so much, because in every song that I played, all the mofos got it wrong. All the people who was like, oh, I could tell SP snare and I could tell an MP kick, and I got every last one of them wrong. You know what I mean? And so that is why, to me, I love these liner notes. And by me being a producer, I wish more people would do more of that. I would love to know, like, yo, I made, now back in the day, like Pete used the SP1200, so it ain't gonna be too many. I use this and I use that. But by the Beatminerz, for a lot of people who may not know, most people think the Beatminerz is just Walt and Evil D. It's Walt, Evil D, Baby Paw, Chocolate Tie. It's like 5 or 6 of them dudes. So it was dope to see, like, yo, this was produced by Chocolate Tie, who uses an MPC 2000, an S950, whereas this produced by Walt with an SP1200 Dolo, or this produced by Evil with an SP12 and S950. So that's why this is definitely one of my favorite liner notes joints. Robbie, what's another joint you got for us, good brother?
All right, I got two in pretty much the same vein that what you were going with here. So I got Bob James, Touchdown, and Shadowfax's self-titled Shadowfax album. And the reason I picked these two, because I didn't want to just pick one album to kind of encompass this, because I couldn't find a perfect one, but it goes in line with what you were talking about. Like this album, it goes through all the different equipment they're using. So like Bob James, like they don't just say like electric keyboard. It's Fender Rose, electric Yamaha grand piano, Oberheim polyphonic synthesizer, and then it goes through. It's pretty specific about the stuff that they're using, which is dope. And I love albums like that. It being like a gearhead and a guy that spent a lot of time in the studio studying with engineers, interning with engineers. That stuff's always dope to me, especially when they show the microphones and everything that they use. Because sometimes they do go that in depth, and I don't know. I love being able to like picture that and how it was recorded. And then Shadowfax just has a really dope little ending here, and it says this recording was made on a modified MCI GH16 recorder at 30 inches per second and mixed to a Studio Mark 3.5 2-track recorder using no noise reduction, limiting, or compression, which is, I don't know. That's just a dope throwback because, I don't know. There's very few albums you'll find made after like the 50s that doesn't have any like compression or limiting on it. Like Thriller would be another exception thanks to Quincy Jones and his genius, but stuff like that always blows me away, and that's dope to see. So I wish hip hop would do stuff more like that. Like, I mean, you hear about things like somebody would be like, oh yeah, Wu-Tang used a AKG 414 EB on 36 chambers, but I feel like most of the time nobody really knows. So like stuff like that equipment wise would be dope, like that Beatminerz album. I actually didn't know that about that album, so that was dope.
Yeah. And I'm with you, bro. I wish more hip hop, because you have so many dudes who are producers or engineers and studio junkies who like, that's why I miss liner notes so much. Like, it's great to stream an album, but then I'm like, all right, well, who produced this? So where was it mixed? Or, what studio was it used for? Like, for folk like us who care about those things, or what mic did they use? Like, yeah, I'm with you 100%. I wish more hip hop cats did that. Rock, what you got up for us next, good brother?
The Roots Things Fall Apart album, and you know how you just mentioned how you wish in today's
Rocker, I'm done. It's like, my G, like, what are we doing tonight, bro? Like, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. I'm joking. It's all love. It's all love.
Yeah, and like they gave, like, if you look at the liner notes, there each song has a resume. I mean, it has an essay, and it reads like a college dissertation. You know what I mean? Like at first glance, I kind of thought that these liner notes, seemed kind of to me, it just seemed like they were trying to do too much by trying to come off as being academic or elitist. But what I love about these liner notes is that they talk about the inspiration for, for each song. Like for example, Act 1, Things Fall Apart. Questlove talks about how the dialogue was taken from Spike Lee's Mo Better Blues, and if you listen to the album all the way through and listen and read these liner notes and credits, you can get a sense of the recording sessions and get a sense of the vibe of how the music was recorded, and it's very extensive. You know what I mean? Like they didn't leave no stone unturned as far as giving credits to all of the composers, arrangers, and anyone that was involved in recording each song, and it's black as hell. You know what I mean? Like this is a black album. This is an album of black music, and they emphasized it through and through.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, now, because y'all are educating me right now, because now, I mean, we all don't know everything. Y'all are educating me, and now that I see what the topic is and how it's going, if I wanted to look on the liner notes, and I need to catch up with y'all because y'all said about 2 albums already, I would want y'all, and I don't have them with me, if somebody could pull it up or if they got the albums with them, can you please look at the liner notes on Dr. Dre, The Chronic, the first one, and can you please look up the liner notes on Michael Jackson, Remember the Time album? That's all I'm going to say.
I got Drake. What was it about the joint that you rocked with on here?
It's just the way the instruments, the way he combinate the combination of the samples with the instruments, and then on some of the songs, you know, you got that bass line, and then you have that piano key play. I just wanted to know, like, what specifically was he using, or like the inspirations for that whole album. I know the vast majority of that inspiration was niggas just hanging out smoking. Now I mean, doing what they do and coming up with some ill bars. But I just want to know, like, as far as the musical side of it, what made Dre want to go in that direction to make those type of beats for that album?
I mean, a lot of those, like, you got, you know, like, he's got like Colin Wolf, you know what I mean, his keyboards, bass guitar and bass keyboard, Colin Wolf, guitar, he has the players, but, you know, it's not really like breaking down like why, you know, he would go in that direction. I mean,
Okay.
I could only assume, you know, with Dre, I think Dre just always kind of thought bigger than the average. You know what I mean? Like, I think his you know, his mind was thinking, yo, like, and because he had the budget, like, let's keep it funky too. Like, when you got money, you can do more. Like, so I'm sure if Dre heard a bass line, it's probably like, yo, I would love to get a live bass player in here and even get it even thicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it may have been a thing too back in the day. You know, if you couldn't clear a sample, it was like, all right, you know, well, let's try to get somebody to replay it. Even though the Chronic, this is like 91, you know, so kind of before a lot of, well, is it before? Nah, because De La got sued by the Turtles for 3 feet. Biz got sued for, so it was a long nose time frames of trying to get around sampling clearance, was bringing in live musicians to play.
Yeah,
that would kind of just be my assumption of why Dre wanted to go there, just to make the sound. Kind of like what Just Blaze started doing. Really, Bink started doing it first, was playing live drums over the program drums. So you get more rolls, you can get more, you know, the drums just sound fuller doing that. You know,
it had more kick to it, more polish.
Right.
That reminds me of Hovey Baby from Blueprint 2.
Right. Hovey Baby. And like I said, Bink was one of the first people to really bring those time rolls into hip hop and everything. If you listen to the Rules back off of Jay's, you know, the Blueprint, Bink was really one of the first people who started doing that, and a lot of people picked up on it. Jake One, Justice League, of course, Just Blaze. You know what I mean? So that would be my assumption. Robbie, were you about to say something on that?
Just on the drum hits too. Eric Sermon had a bunch of stuff off of what is it, like Second Chances, his album after Insomnia. He had a bunch of like crazy stuff like that on there as well, where he'd use the note repeat. He's one of the first guys that used the note repeat a lot for drums, like on the 16th, like the third 16th notes on the MPC and stuff like that. But yeah, that's one of the albums that I wish they had more detail for, like we were talking about before, like the recording process and stuff like that. That would be interesting to know for sure. Especially a classic album like that.
Definitely. And what about Michael Jackson, Remember the Time?
I don't have it.
There's some instruments on there, there's some sounds on there that are just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's good old Teddy Riley at work, man. You know what I mean?
Teddy Riley at his finest, huh?
That's good old Teddy Riley doing what good old Teddy Riley does, just making classics and making hits at the same time. You know what I mean?
And while we're on the subject, like Little Ghetto Boy from the Chronic, that's my favorite song from that album, because that flute coda, during the coda, there's a flute solo that is so emotive and it's so plaintive. It to me it was a great musical cat, you know, to end that song, because the song is so emotional, you know, especially the intro. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you hear that intro and then it rolls right into Snoop's verse, and then, you know, then I don't know who sings the hook during Little Ghetto Boy, but Dre took an already soulful song and somehow made it even more soulful and even more haunting, which is genius to me.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna stay on the Roots joint with you. Same thing with Things Fall Apart. Again, I want to hear how it came together, hearing how Dynamite came together, and Quest and Common and all them went to Detroit. You know what I mean? You just sit down with Dilla and cook that up. Like, all the stories was dope to me. And so I had that, but then I also had it tied with Philadelphia. And the reason why I love the liner notes from Philadelphia, because everybody's giving their shout outs, and then Quest basically has a whole diary on how the album was made. And it's basically just a story, like, he's like, the album came out in January, it's only June, do we really need to start now? July 95. Why on our only day off in Amsterdam, of all places, am I going to the studio? You remember what you did in Soundcheck, Mal? Why not? This must be the only studio in the world with no click track, automatic board, EQ, or long distance. Mal and Reek said my church drum bell sounded like Murder Was the Case. I didn't say y'all sounded like Queensbridge. I just said I could hear the influence. Man, these shit sound whack. August 95. Yeah, Dawn. Just come down for a week or two, do some vocals, and I'll fly you back. I need my SP 1200 back right now. Rich, how many niggas coming to the studio? What did he do with that line? How much is the bail? What? Kilos on my ass for sound too much like a computer. So he's just reading down how the album got made through, I think somewhere in here, Malik gets locked up and like, how much is the bail? And, y'all, like, I just love hearing those behind the scenes stories, like the little riff between him and Reek, like, yo, I ain't say y'all sounded like Mobb Deep. I just said I could hear the influence, and kilos on my ass for sounding like too much like a drum machine. So I just love the fact that he kind of gave you the whole diary breakdown of how the album was made, the ups, the downs. I think one part is he was like, yo, I quit. I'm not even in the group no more. This is my group. I started it, and y'all telling me my drums ain't good. Then he's like, I'm back. So I just enjoy those stories. And it's funny because between these liner notes and Things Fall Apart, to me, I kind of saw that it's no shock to me that Quest is an author now, because you could tell he likes to write. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Again, everybody else is just like, hey, shout out to mom and dad, shout out to Philly. And here comes Quest with like a 5-paragraph diary on how the album was made. So it's only right. Like, these were like the liner notes to me were like the precursor of him doing exactly what he's doing right now, with his books and everything like that. Another joint I had was, and it's more so the company, and the company is called Rhymesayers. You got this independent hip hop company out of Minnesota called Rhymesayers, and the thing I love about them is the time and the ideas they have for their album covers and their liner notes. So like, this is Jake One and Freeway's The Stimulus Package album, and it's a wallet. You know what I mean? So the CD is in the wallet, and the liner notes are the money. You know what I mean? So the money, you got to take them out the wallet, and
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, like the huge dollar bills, they have all the information on them. So, it's like, and then on top of that, it's got the words to it too. So before Boys and Girls, before there was Genius, okay, like you had to sit there and learn the lyrics, or sometimes the MCs would print out the lyrics for you. And that's kind of like how it was with this. So to me, this is just, crazy original. I don't know who came up with the idea, but it's a dope idea. And I don't know. I mean, to me, they pulled it all flawless, with the way they did it. Another Rhymesayers album I love, Dilated People's last album, Director of Photography. Because when you open it up, you got the little case flipping, you flip this open, and the liner notes are all Polaroid pictures. You know what I mean? So on the back of each Polaroid is the liner note of, where it was recorded and everything like that. And I just thought like, yo, this is such a dope idea. Just, evidence from the group is a photographer. So I'm assuming these are all his joints. The shots are dope, and just the idea itself is dope. So, nothing really special in the liner notes. I mean, the regular who engineered it, stuff like rap nerds like me care about, but it just really was dope to me how they, flipped it and came up with the idea to do it like this. So that's one of my joints. Robbie, what you got up for another one of yours?
First left one to get ready. Also, I hear an echo from somewhere, but okay, it's gone. Good. Next up, I got BB King live in Cook County Jail. This is kind of a classic blues album, and the liner notes are really dope to me because it goes really in depth on the history of the jail. If I could just read a couple of the lines from it.
Read it, bro.
Yeah, jail, very simple, is one hell of a place to be. In 1968, when the Illinois Crime Commission and a prison reform group the John Howard Association investigated Chicago's infamous Cook County Jail. They called it a jungle. And just some background on the jail, I did some research on it. They were like, it's one of the first places where the electric chair was implemented. They had 67 electric chair electrocutions, they killed a lot of people there, died and stuff like that. And then he goes into like everything went as a former inmate. Anything from heroin to whiskey to Italian food was sold and traded in the jail. Homosexual rape, bribery, and murder were the bill of fare. And he added sourly, no one seemed to give a damn. And then it talks about how a black psychologist named Winston E. Moore was appointed warden to the jail. And then after a couple scandals resulted in the dismissal of the previous warden, he was promoted. And in his first day, they removed 3 refrigerators from mafia-occupied cells and collected over 200 weapons and a bunch of drugs. And then it talks about how his role in trying to gain control of the prison and trying to raise, I guess, the status of it. But then it goes into how it was reformed, and then it keeps mentioning how many inmates were at the jail at the time, 2,117. And then it talks about how the psychologist that became the warden, Winston E. Moore, met with B.B. King, and they said they're talking about why not do a concert in the prison for the prison mates to try to raise morale and stuff like that. So it's a pretty dope concept. He performed, and the liner note ends with Jeffrey Harding and the 2,117. And I tried to find anything I could on this guy, and I couldn't find anything. So the way that they write it, it almost sounds like they got one of the inmates to write the liner notes, because I couldn't find anything on him on Discogs or anything like that. It just had his name, and this was the only album he was ever associated with, and they didn't have anything else about it. So it's kind of dope because it goes into the history of the prison, which isn't something I would ever know about if they didn't have the actual liner notes. So that's pretty cool, and it's one of the most famous albums. The album itself is in the Blues Hall of Fame and stuff like that, but the jail's also still pretty prevalent. I think it's like the largest like state or single housed jail or something like that. I looked up, and in 2008 it was reinvestigated, and they found 8 violations of the 8th Amendment. So it's still like a place of debate and controversy all these years later, because this was recorded in 1971. So
That's dope.
it's pretty dope history piece. Yeah,
That's dope. That's definitely a dope pick. Good looking for that. Rocker, what you got, good brother?
Well, I'm gonna try not to take many of your picks.
You pick another one of mine, Rock. Yo, come on.
Yo, if I pick another one, if I
I'm joking.
pick the same album, yeah.
All love. What you got, bro?
Well, this album is this group's third. It's the group's second full-length album and third overall. Bone Thugs and Harmony: The Art of War. And the thing about these liner notes is that they took. The Art of War is a play on the Sun Tzu. The title is based on the Sun Tzu book, but the liner notes, they're trying to. The album cover is each member as warriors. They're dressed in war paint and dressed in swords and other weapons. But there's one image in this book that made me think, are these like what? I couldn't get past this image for the longest time, and it was this image right here. Like, what the, like, I didn't understand what would, like, I have an idea, but like, this was a wild picture to take. And
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy right there, yo.
This is Busy Bone. He looks like he's possessed by an evil spirit. He looks possessed, like I don't know what kind of weed he was smoking that will make him take this pick, but and if you look at the pictures, you can see how gothic the illustrations are, and you can see how how the members they look they look ominous. But if you look at the liner notes, for Busy Bones, you know how during the shout out, during the credits, each member gives a shout out. If you look at Busy Bones' thank yous, he only says one sentence, and it reads, "Rest in peace. May murder be the only separation." I had no like. I was trying to understand like what did that mean, like. But at any rate, one last thing about this album is that I love how the group is rhyming, like their rapping is at their all-time peak. But here they are rhyming about murder, violence, and all of this shit. But yet, the members are talking about thanking God. You know what I mean? And if it was, Lazy says, thanks to the Lord blessing me and my thugs. Thanks to Bone Thugs, yada yada yada. I'm like, it reminds me of how like when rappers go to award shows and the first person they think is God after all of the hardcore shit they talk about is like, I just couldn't reconcile that, But yeah, this isn't their best album. Their best album was the album that came before East, 1999 Eternal, and it had the hits, of course, like Look Into My Eyes, The Joint with Tupac, Thug Love, If I Could Teach the World. This is their peak. After Art of War, their releases became more scatterbrained. They never recaptured the magic of their first 3 releases, and shortly after that, they they continued to make music, but they lost their relevance. So yeah, the Art of War album.
All right, no doubt. One of the joints I got up, I'll do 2 of these joints because it was both similar to Rhyme says, it was done through BBE. And that BBE back in, I guess this is like 2001 or 2. A label from overseas was giving a lot of producers, the leeway to do production albums, like, you know what I mean? Kind of like a Pete Rock Soul Survivor album. So Pete did one, Jazzy Jeff did one, Dilla did one. But with the Jazzy Jeff one, again, it's similar to kind of like what we talked about earlier, of just basically how the songs got made. So like for each one, you get a breakdown of how each song got made. And the reason this was so dope to me, because it kind of out of DC is a crew called Low Budget, and this was like the first time I'd ever heard any of their names. Cats like Kev Brown, Kenwood, Odyssey. Like to me, I know for me was the first time I heard their names was with this album right here. So again, just dope to sit here and read. Like I literally could read all day how songs got made. Like it's just like one of the dopest things in the world to me. So Jazzy Jeff's The Magnificent Album, which is a very slept on album. I mean, I honestly give this 5 mics. It's funny, I run into a lot of people who never even knew Jazzy Jeff had an album out. But I love this album, especially when it came out. And the other BBE album was Welcome to Detroit. Jay Dilla, who's my number 1 right there of all time. When you crack open these liner notes, Dilla does, similar thing. He's breaking down, how every track got made, Think Twice. He's like retouching the Donald Byrd classic. Me and my man Dwele arranged this piece. I wanted to create something that sounds like a 7-inch record, also something that feels like it was in the 70s. You Smell Me, check it out. I think we did a pretty good job. Throughout the joints he's talking about, leaving drums open, like, because in production circles, it's funny when you talk about of sampling another producer's drums. And for people who don't produce, let me explain this. You can sample from this joint right here, Skull Snaps, Breakbeat, It's a New Day, one of the most famous breakbeats ever. Sampling from vinyl, cool. For a lot of people, sampling another producer's drums off of their record, not cool. So, and for years we'd get into this debate, and it was funny because Steve, who did Dead Presidents, had I think it was like a Jay-Z special or something, and he was showing how he recreated the beat for Dead Presidents. And he said, yo, for the snare, I got it from Tribes, Oh My God. And nobody had a problem with that. And I'm like, whoa, time out, flag on the fucking play. Because whenever I talk about sampling from a producer's drums, it's, oh my God, you can't do that. That's against the rules. He does it, and y'all mofos don't say nothing. It's like, oh, okay, he got it from, oh my God. So the thing that I liked about Dilla with this is he would say things like, yo, I left the drum open at the end, so, you know, y'all producers could snatch those up. And I thought it was dope that Dilla was like, yo, y'all can, it's all good. Like, this is just part of the game. Like, you know, because somebody would be like, well, OG, what's the difference between sampling off a record and sampling off a producer? And I get it. I mean, and here's the story. I want to say this story is true. Don't quote me because I didn't hear from the person. I heard it through life. But supposedly, Diamond had beef with Mr. Walt from the Beat Miners because he thought Walt used the drums to Bucktown. Was like from, he may have left them in the studio, and like supposedly like Walt had to show him the actual vinyl for him to be like, oh, okay. Like, that's how serious people are about sampling their drums. So again, I just thought it was cool that Dilla, I mean, at this time, he was one of my favorite producers. You know what I mean? At this point in time, I think he's the GOAT. Would be like, you know, it's cool. Like, I left the drums open for y'all. Like, it's all love. Take them. Like, it's all good. Because I used to wonder that too. Like, yo, I get an instrumental of your joint and the drums is open. I'm taking your drums. You know, it's just what it is. You know, so I thought these two albums. So check them out. If you never, most people have heard Welcome to Detroit because, you know, the world loves Dilla. But a lot of people may not have heard this Jazzy Jeff joint. So definitely check those out. Robbie, what's another joint you got for us, good brother?
All right. Next up, I got Funky Technician. This is, I don't know, as far as the credits goes, it's just kind of like your typical hip hop credits. They just list like 800 dudes that are around at that time, like everybody from like Africa Bambaataa to Hank Love to Biz Markie. So as somebody that was born in 95, obviously I don't know most of these people. So it's fun to go through here and try to find as many of them as I can and what their contribution to hip hop was and that kind of a thing. But it's also dope because it kind of paints the picture to a scene that like people from my generation completely missed out on, which would be the original like early days of hip hop where everybody was interconnected. It was like a tight knit community. It was cool, a lot more like brotherhood type of a situation. So that's just the kind of a thing that's what I wish we had the most that today's day doesn't have. We don't have like any like meetup spots or anything like that.
You know what? I feel the exact same way. Growing up in the 80s and reading these liner notes, you saw every rapper shouting out everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you would hear, I want to say in Kane's, oh God, hold up. I'm right here.
Another victory.
Yeah, man, you in my head tonight, Rocky. You didn't on it tonight. But yeah, another victory where he said something like the Big Daddy Kane is cool with rappers like today, like Kid and Play. Even my man LL Cool J, Stetson Sonic, and EPMD, Public Enemy, and BDP. Something. We gotta stick together. Like, so Robbie, I feel you 100%. If there's something that I miss in hip hop and I wish it could go back to, was those days of unity. This was a story, and I want to say KRS helped Big Daddy Kane move, and then after they moved, Kane, Miss Melody, and KRS sat there and watched The Color Purple. Like, this is how rappers rock with each other. Like, yo, like, yeah. I'm like, yo, wait a second, y'all watch The Color Purple? Like, yo, we watch The Color Purple. Like, yo, like that's dope. Like, you know, that there was that unity, or even people who did know about the Roosevelt. It was a hotel in New York, and they used to have record conventions up there at the Roosevelt that were, you know, infamous, and cats would go digging together. Cats would go on digging missions together. We just did a show on Extra P, like on Just Hanging Out. Like you said, yo, I'll be chilling, you know, with Pete Rock making beats that's sharper than cleats. Like, yo, these rappers used to hang around each other. I want to say the Beat Nuts said, yo, Juju May got his first MPC from, you know, cats with lend equipment out. Like, it was just a love with hip hop back then that I've been in people's houses and they'll have an MPC sitting on the floor and don't even think to ask to borrow it because they ain't letting you hold it. You know what I mean? Like, cats won't even let you borrow their iPhone nowadays, you know. Yeah. But back in those days, it'd be like, yo, let me explain something to cats because people don't get it. An SP1200 in 1990, you talking $3,000. Like, you talking, do I want to get a car or a drum machine? So to let somebody just hold your drum machine, like, that's like somebody just saying, yeah, take my car for a couple of weeks, you good. Like, that's the extent of it. That, like y'all said, like hip hop used to be like that, and it's not anymore. So Robbie, I agree with you 100, 150, 100, whatever percent on that.
Yeah.
I
That's
really
dope. That's dope that you mentioned that Kane interview, because I was actually watching that earlier today at work, where he was talking about how he wished he got the KRS-One battle instead of the Rakim battle, because he thought they were more comparable. And then he went into how KRS-One and him were friends, and how him and Miss Melody moved out, helped him move out of his parents' house for the first time. So that's dope.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Rocky, what you got, good brother?
Well, this is Mobb Deep's Hell on Earth album, and to me, what I love about this album, especially, the liner notes and credits, is Prodigy's shout outs. Like if you read these, shout outs, man, like if you read it in Prodigy's voice, it's like I want to know who these dudes are, man, because like he devoted at least 3 paragraphs, shouting, these people out. Like Stobo, Sean, Carrie, Ken, and Crip, Dirty Harry, Money No, FAM, Kev, Big Drew, Old Dog, Torrin, Money You, yada yada yada. But then, like he mentioned, further down the line, notes, he says Bill Cosby in parentheses never banging, and I'm like, like they had the dumb language, but I just want to know, like, what the hell did he mean by that? Like, I mean, it's ironic, given where Bill Cosby is now, but I just thought that was always, funny that Prodigy, mentioned Bill Cosby and then in parentheses never banging, and then further down the London notes, he gives names for Mobb Deep fans in each borough, in each city. Like he has the Bronx Mob, he has the Manhattan Mob, the Virginia Mob, the Jersey Mob, the Chicago Mob, the Chicago Mob, so on and so forth. And I thought that was dope how he gave mob titles to each hood, acknowledging the major players in both cities, in hip hop and in the streets. And this was a great follow up to the infamous, and even Prodigy said at the very beginning that to my nigga Half for stepping up with the beats, he made it. He wanted to make that known off the rip that Havoc, he stepped it up with the production, and I thought that was dope, because a lot of times, man, like you can see where like the MC takes for granted the DJ or the producer, and you can kind of see that tension. So I just felt that at this point, that they were working in concert with each other. Everybody, each member, was on one accord.
That's dope. That's dope. Rest in peace to Prodigy. That's a sad,
Yeah, no doubt.
sad loss. All right. You got another one, Kill? Did we lose Kill? Huh. All right. Well, I'll go again then.
Yo, is Harlem with us?
I don't know.
Fresh with
Yeah,
us?
I'm here.
Right.
Yo,
I think Kill might have dropped out of the call. He looks frozen.
Nah, I'm here. I'm right here.
No, you're good. We gotta get Left in here, man. How do we get Left in here?
He trying to get Left in there right now.
Oh, is that why he dropped back?
I don't know what happened, but he trying to get him in here right now. Everything is good. He'll be able to edit it. Because he's not streaming live. But I'm definitely getting the education on what's going on and shit. I appreciate the information that I'm able to obtain. I like this right here.
Yeah, I always wanted to get, my Deep merchandise, but but somehow I never was able to. I never found the time to buy it. Back then.
Damn, yeah. Oh, I was gonna buy like. Did you see? Premiere was posting all their like Gangstar. I don't know, anniversary for full clip.
Yeah, the Gangstar Foundation.
Dude, I wanted to buy
Yeah.
one of those, but I missed out on it. Oh, is he calling us again from somewhere?
Yeah.
I don't know how to. I don't know where to go to find it.
It's much easier to order online than it was, for mail order.
Kill's calling us again. We're going in to hop in a new call probably for left.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great pick. The BB King album.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where do we join? Oh, do we have to leave this first?
Oh.
All right. Clicker. Dang, it didn't work for me.
Yeah, I saw Left trying to get into. I have no idea what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I got something from them, but it won't let me go back into that.
Sure, I might as well take a take a break.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened.